T minus 15 minutes. T minus 15 minutes. T minus 14 minutes. T minus 13 minutes. T minus 12 minutes. T minus 11 minutes. T minus 10 minutes. T minus 9 minutes. T minus 8 minutes. T minus 7 minutes. T minus 6 minutes. T minus 5 minutes. T minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh yeah! You say you don't know where the macho man is coming from? You're right. You don't know anything about the macho man, Randy Savage. You know where I'm coming from. You don't know where I'm coming from. After I beat you with that big elbow and pin you 1, 2, 3, guaranteed victory!
Welcome, everyone. How are you all doing today? Welcome to the Yissilmissil Productions channel. My name is Steven Yissel. Today is Saturday, and this is episode 1 of Madness Hour, where we are going to be talking about a variety of topics. It's going to be a little bit of a variety show, but it's a little bit of a catch-up for everyone, too. And so we are going to be having um, at least one guest here today, and I've done a few shows with him in the past. Jeremy is going to be our guest, and I did send him the invite, so we are just waiting for Jeremy to join us. How are you all doing there today? I hope you're having a good week. I hope this weekend is treating you well, and yeah, this is going to be a good day. So. Yeah, we got a few things to talk about. And we have Jeremy here. Excellent. So I'm bringing him in now. Hey, Jeremy, can you hear me?
There we go.
Excellent.
What's up, man?
Oh,
There we go.
man, so much is happening, you know?
When is it not, man? When is it not? All right, just trying to get this set. Man, I was trying to get my computer to work, and then it's like, oh, you got to do a refresh. I'm like, we're just going cell phone now.
Yeah, it's a lot of BS, I'll say.
100%. 100%.
So I am trying to show both of our videos at the same time. So just bear with me here.
Take your time.
Trying to see this the way this because I downloaded the new Zoom what is it like workspace or something.
Gotcha.
But yeah, yeah, today's Saturday, November 2nd. I'm here with Jeremy. Jeremy's a good friend of mine. He's a reenactor for the Civil War with me. So we tend to like to wear our period wool and shoot our muskets and sleep in canvas tents in 40-degree weather and complain about it in the morning. But we love
Yes,
it.
absolutely. It's relaxing. I call it therapeutic.
And for those that I know a lot of you don't know, but we have a YouTube channel that we are launching. It's called Zouave Madness, and I'll put a link in the description here for everyone to check it out afterward. But it's that's going to be a little similar to what we're doing today because I'm just trying to switch things up a bit, give everyone a little bit more variety on the channel, but I'm not mixing it up too much. I have different channels for different content that I'm starting to build out, and Zoo of Madness is going to be one of them just because um, it's fun trying to just do this on the fly and see how it all goes. But yeah, so Jeremy, when was the last reenactment you went to?
Was Princeton, Illinois. That was back October 13th, so about 3 weeks ago.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think I've gone all year. Oh,
I
that's
don't think so.
bad on me. But yeah, I'll be back there soon.
Good. We want you back.
Yeah, it's been too long. Normally, if it's like 3, 4 months, it's too long. But now it's getting onwards of a year for me. Yeesh.
Haynesville. I think Haynesville was your last one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't do Haynesville this year. We
yeah. It's
decided we
my
decided
my like
Princeton.
passion
Let's
for
try it.
it's changed a bit.
What do you mean?
Well, like I'm rethinking like why I'm doing the certain units we're doing. And I understand
Hmm.
like we're doing all Union and we have Confederate impressions too, in case there's not that many people on the other side, you'd have to fill the gap. So like why would you go to a show where like half of the cast is missing? You got to
That was
fill in the
Haynesville.
roles basically.
That was Haynesville for how many years?
Yeah. And living history is more of I mean people say that it's like not popular, but like the people who want to go and see it, we're very knowledgeable with what we're talking about. Like we've studied a lot of the everyday tasks of the soldiers and the privates, like the recruits and all that, and just camp life in the 1860s. It's a lot different than what goes on today. So we keep
Yes.
that stuff alive on the weekends. And
Well, we
yeah,
had
the season's over for the most part.
for us, yeah, we're done. Yeah. I mean, we had so we did a couple living history. We had a real successful one in the spring. So we actually reached out to a local I guess you want to call it like living history museum where people come out and people who like are working this old like farm prairie house and they're in character and they kind of talk about the family that lived there. So we actually reached out to them like a year ago and said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in letting us do like a Civil War, living history on the property?" Sure, sure. So they wanted us to do two this year, and the one that we had in May was on a Sunday. They said that usually on these free days, you get about maybe 20, 25 people come through. We brought out 275 people, and they were getting calls the next day, Monday. Hey, these are they going to be back out here? I didn't know you guys are doing it. I missed it. So I must say that the house did a real good job of help promoting it for us, the two events that we did this year. And so we're looking forward to doing it next year. But like you said, those living history events, it brings all kinds of different people. I mean, young kids, older people. Even we even met people that used to be reenactors that they're just too old to take the field, and they start telling us, "Oh, I used to be in this unit back in the '80s or 90s," and oh man, that's crazy. So it was cool.
Yeah, people tend to go in and out of the hobby. I've
Yes.
noticed that a lot. Where like, and also like with they do different eras. So like we have friends that portray well even as early, I mean, as most recent as the Gulf Wars, right?
Yeah, there is Persian Gulf. Oh, okay, I don't know where they're at. I've seen them in a few events, mostly living history though. But yeah, there's all the way up. I mean, we were at one event a few years ago. I want to say it was before COVID, so probably 2019. I mean, they had samurai out there, they had Romans. It was really interesting to see all these different eras come together and put on different displays.
Yeah, we had some friends that were doing Vietnam and they moved over to Civil War for a bit and some of them are still with us, but it's yeah, it's just based on wherever everybody's passion is, that's where they gravitate to with all of this.
Yeah,
And like the
and one
Civil
thing I've
War is
noticed,
fascinating to me. I mean,
it,
especially when you bring in like all the world corporations that funded both sides. So like
Yeah.
the more you study it, the more you see that it was pre-planned in a way. Like
It,
Lincoln,
it-
I think Lincoln knew he was going to get into this before he got elected.
it's funny because I'm reading a book. Chris, he let me borrow this book on the 19 Tennessee and their regiment that came out of Eastern Tennessee. And most people don't realize this, but Eastern Tennessee was a huge Union enclave where they were Union supporters. They weren't supporters of the Confederacy, but there was a huge divide. And I've only just started reading it, so I'm like two chapters in, and you realize that they were very pro-union. And the next thing you know is like when Lincoln starts calling up, he wanted two regiments from Tennessee. And all of a sudden they were like, wait a minute here, we're not doing this. So they were up to a point supporting Lincoln, supporting the Union, and all of a sudden they Lincoln pushes them to the other side. And that's why they ended up, so it's weird. They're unionist, but they're at the same time, it's like, well, wait a minute here. This isn't right. And so they go to the Confederacy. So yeah, I agree with you. He kind of had to know that he was setting up something a lot larger than, keeping it local in South Carolina or something.
Yeah, it's really real every time I look into more about the Civil War, it just raises more questions than answers for me.
Big
But
time.
I mean, I'm trying to study both sides because I mean that's the proper way to do things.
You have
Can't wear
to.
blinders for this stuff.
No, and when I went back to college like a decade ago and I finished my history major, I mean, that was one of the things is you have to go into studying everything you do unbiased. And you can't take modern interpretations and kind of plug it into, what they were thinking in 1860. It's just it's not that's how you study it, which upsets me on the current situation of our world that every time someone wants to talk about historical content, it's like, well, it's so wrong that they did this. And it's like, yeah, through our lenses today in 2024, yeah, I wouldn't agree with how certain people lived 100, 200, 300 years ago. I mean, it's just, no, it doesn't work that way. Can't do it. They had their time, we have our time, and we're going to be judged in 100, 150 years ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, considering like all the number, like if you just look at numbers with the economy back then versus now, and like the fact that our country like had a revolution over 2% tax and now we're like close to 46% tax.
And nobody cares.
Yeah, like
Well,
what
so
would
some of us care, but not everybody.
yeah, it's like the powder keg of that. Like if it goes off the same way as the Tea Party, like what would the
Yeah.
modern day Tea Party be?
Modern day. Try to get my laptop here. Well, if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have said maybe the Libertarian Party, but
No,
I look
I'm
at it.
speaking like an event where they toss the tea into the
I
harbor.
understand.
Yeah,
Oh God. Okay, so push off a Boston type. Okay.
Boston Tea Party,
I don't
yes.
know. Honestly, I don't know. I think the problem with that is that there's been multiple events that could have pissed people off to that of that magnitude over you could say the last 15 years. And it doesn't seem to budge. I mean, I guess the closest thing you can end up really doing is if you want to say, the January 6th thing, which but no, I don't see it. I don't see the parallels the same. So
No,
don't know. No, I think that the problem now is that it could have been the problem then. I mean, that you had a colonist like the ones who were, supporting the Tea Party event. They probably would have been looked at as outsiders. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot more loyalists in the colonies than there was, say, rebels. And I get that would probably be the way it is today as well, because in our eyes, the United States, it never does anything wrong. And then if you judge it, it's like, why did you judge it? Because you can't. You live in a society where we can judge them. So I don't know. I always find the hypocrisy to be interesting. It's like, well, you would support this, but not that. Historically speaking, we've kind of run into that now.
you know, now that I've had a little time to think about it, I think the modern day Boston Tea Party
Hmm.
would be more of a symbolic gesture. So I'm going to go towards, and I'm just speaking hypothetically here. YouTube, do not take this the wrong way, but the Federal Reserve, in particular, probably the building no longer being there would be symbolic. And I know they probably have several buildings, but
Yes.
yeah. All right, so we
Yes, I
have
would
a
say.
third guest coming in.
Oh, we do.
So, or a second guest, third person coming in. And man, I don't think I can't make this video like parallel for some reason. It used to
Really?
do it for my other shows. I don't know what's going on with this one.
I'm gonna try and move mine to my laptop here in a second
All right, very cool.
while we do that. Yeah, I don't know what this thing was doing over here. It's just acting kind of weird this morning, so I opted on cell phone first.
Yeah, no worries.
I think it works. Look, my voice works.
Hey, it's working.
Hey, Brenda. All right, so I have here Brenda from the YouTube channel Beyond the Box. I recommend everybody to go and subscribe. She covers a lot of content with the paranormal recently, and whew, getting some really good guests on there, and even locals from Texas where she's at. She just had a guest on last night that lives like 20 minutes away from her. So yeah, Brenda, this is Jeremy. Jeremy, Brenda.
Hi.
Uh, nice to
Pleasure. How are you?
nice to
A
have you
lot
both
better
here.
today.
Yeah, your voice sounds like a million times better than it did last night.
My
It was
head
like
is
really
draining
hoarse.
really. Yeah, I lost my voice last night. My head is draining today like a water hose. So it's like, at least the fluid's coming out, not staying in my ears and everywhere else. So good job.
Yeah, and so I'm just gonna explain to everybody here. I met Brenda back in April. I sat in for a guest on her show, and we just ended up talking all night after the show, and I mean we still do that to this day, up until like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning sometimes. But it's fun. And it's also keeps my mind busy while I'm doing the monotonous eBay listing of countless tapes. But yeah, Brenda has a good show and she's building it out well. She's almost at 300 subscribers. So yeah, just keep it up. The consistency is what brings everybody to the channel. And then sometimes the viral videos. But I can only do so much with that.
I haven't figured all that out yet.
Yeah, so yeah, we're all here. Really happy for this. We got 3 people watching right now. See, this is the thing. Doesn't matter if I have 500 subs, 1,000 subs, 2,000 subs. There's always like less than 10 people watching at a time. And that's just wrong on YouTube's part. Like, get it together, Google. Do something for me.
Right.
But yeah, we had we're doing a new 11 o'clock show here. So this is going to be more of a like a jambalaya pot of stuff. And we already talked about our Civil War reenacting and doing living history with all of the different eras and all that. But we're um we're out of the season now, and yeah, we don't really want to talk about what the mainstream media is talking about on this show, so we're going to try to avoid that. There's a there's a big psyop happening next week. I'm sure everybody knows about it, and we're not going to get
Yeah.
answers to our questions as always. It's going to be more BS. So just a heads up there, everyone. Spoilers. You're not going to have an
Spoiler
answer.
alert. Spoiler alert. Warning, warning. Oh,
It's true.
are you, are you sure? I mean, I'm a goofball here, Steve. You sure? You sure you can handle this? I know you can. You put up with me every night.
Yeah, so Bree is on a watch list now because she has the Geneva Bible.
I'm on 3 watch list.
Oh, jeez.
It excites me. I guess
Yeah,
when
all
you
the
slam the
alphabet
door in the
groups.
FBI's face, they kind of put you on this little list. Who knew?
Yeah, I mean, I even wonder if I'm on one of those lists too. I probably am because of the guest I had for the past 2 years. It's like there really shouldn't be a reason why there's just a few people watching here right now. I should have more like 50 people to 100 people watching. But that also raises the question, like how many of these subscribers are bots?
I think
I
there's a
just
way
don't
to
understand.
check that.
Like Twitter, I don't have any engagement on Twitter. I have like 30 followers. I've made over 200 posts with videos. The videos don't get more than 200 views each. So there's something really wonky going on with the algorithms. But hopefully we'll fix that. And yeah, just doing different shows on here. I hope that's gonna help um expand the audience because I mean, give me a break here. There's 2,000 subs. We only got a few people watching. It's all right. I mean, the people that want to watch are gonna come back over here after the show. I know probably people are busy today too, sleeping, whatever, but they get notifications. And if you don't get notifications yet, if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. I really don't like saying that, but I need to remind everybody because if you forget, then you won't see us again. So I appreciate you all being here.
Right.
And yeah, so I
Well,
uh I guess we can talk a bit about your show, Brenda. So tell us how it started and then where it's at today.
well, what started it was I was doing shows with other people, and I didn't like the direction that their shows were going. So I'm not one for Howard Stern. Sorry, hate me if you must. Don't like the man. And that's what the shows were ending up. Wear something, prop up your boobs, do this, do that. I didn't like it. So I've dabbled with, I have been involved with the paranormal since I was a kid. I am a medium. I um, see, hear, smell, and can communicate with spirits, people that have passed away mostly. I've encountered a few bad things, but I don't advise being young, stupid, and going to a graveyard and provoking anything that's mean. So they don't handle you well. So I started off wanting to bring my friend Susie in with me. So we started the podcast. We were doing. She's a very spiritual person, so we were doing a lot of stuff from each different Bible and breaking those down. And then we got into doing the SSP programs, the survivor programs, because we were all survivors. Um, I went through a lot of abuse when I was a child. Um, I was sexually abused, trafficked, and different stuff like that by family members. So we decided to do that. Well, after you do that for so long and you have those pouring hearts on your shoulders all the time, you need to switch it up. So I said, I'm going to do some paranormal cryptid stuff to throw a little bit of something different in there. And I actually like the cryptid and paranormal stuff. It doesn't bother me at all. So, and
Awesome.
then here I am. I started it in January, but we were only doing 2 shows a week. So, when you only do 2 shows a week, you don't collect a bunch of subscribers, right away. But every time I do a show, I collect anywhere between, I'd have to say anywhere between 2 and 4 subscribers every show. So it's growing, and we decided to add more shows. So hopefully soon Steve will be able to jump in there every once in a while and dabble with my paranormal and cryptid guest. And
I
here
got
I am.
everybody on the screen now. All three of us simultaneously.
There we go.
This is more the style I like. We get to see everybody and it doesn't bounce back and forth so much. But
Hey,
no,
at
I'm
least
glad that you decided to go into a different genre with the channel, but it still stays within like the theme of it all. So
yes.
really gives you more mileage and to grow a subscriber base and a following. So I mean, we're all here doing this stuff because we love doing it, and we're not getting paid by any corporations. I mean, Google monetizes, but they do payouts at $100, and you're lucky if you get $5 a month. Although right now I'm getting about 30 a month. That's from YouTube. You really think that's gonna do anything? I mean, I'm gonna buy a t-shirt at the next AEW show with $30. Thanks.
Yeah, right.
About it. But
Well,
yeah, we just have to build
considering,
the channels out, and
yeah, and
hopefully that'll
considering the
follow with it, the monetization.
right, and considering the fact that it cost me uh, 50 a month for the platform, 25 a month for Rumble. Um, God knows how much, other stuff I have in there, little in between. So yeah, you actually spend more money than what you could ever think about getting. I don't get any right now, nothing.
Yeah,
And so, but it's okay because I look at it like this. I'm not doing it to make money. A lot of my shows are informative, education. Uh, I'm entertaining, but um, so, but if I have 50 people watching and one person gets it, then I did my job. So that's the way I look at it.
yeah, I feel that way too. Like I value everybody that comes in and shares their thoughts. So like comments on videos are awesome because that tells me that people are engaged and they're interested in what we're talking about, which is awesome. And that's what we want to do is um, gather like-minded people together to have discussions. And yeah, it's a process of building it out. So it's just going to take time. But
Yeah,
I mean, everybody that's here knows where I stand. Like, I do not ever plan on going to Hollywood. It's a cesspool of scum and villainy, right? To take Lucas's words.
Yeah.
Most wretched hive of scum and villainy. But
Dude, no Moss Eisley for
yeah,
you, huh?
you got these guys, Spielberg and Lucas,
Satanist,
the two most well-known Hollywood players.
pedophiles.
And for all we know, Spielberg is worse than Diddy.
He
And
is.
that may be a different topic for another day.
He is.
And then Walt Disney, even a
Oh,
bigger
that's bad.
player, the man Walt Disney. Like, that would be a crazy deep dive to go into. Because, like, he has connections to Germany and all that, too. But
Yeah, he
that's neither here nor there. We're not going to
That's a
go
show
down
for
that route
another
today.
day.
I have a fugue state on the 1940s. Don't talk to me about
did.
it. What happened?
I think you
All I
were.
know is that the monetary system was hijacked. Oh, shit.
I
All
think
right.
you were
Anyway,
born too late, Steve.
what's that?
You were born too late.
Yeah.
I think so.
I decided to pop into the world when, like, 2 weeks before Reagan popped out of office or something like that. It was like 89.
Your mother was.
Crazy.
Your mother was like slacking.
Yeah, she didn't let me enjoy, like, the first term. She had to wait.
Right?
I
But
was too
yeah.
young. I don't remember it.
Yeah,
And
apparently 1998 is a very central year for uh for life in general, like on a timeline, 98 was some like major point in time or like a convergence. It's like very important. And I actually see 1998 popping up quite often these days. And it doesn't have anything to do with me watching the Attitude Era of pro wrestling. Just 98 keeps popping up, even though that's one of the best years of wrestling, in my opinion. 98 and 99. But
I think I turned 20 in 98. I
oh,
think
so I'm going to recommend another YouTube channel because I'm trying to get everybody here that's on my page here familiar with what I'm watching. And the channel on YouTube, Archaix, Rchaix. He covers a lot of this chronological timeline of history. He has a bunch of old books that he's cross-referenced over and over, different cultures, different timelines, and like there were longer days in the past, and a shar is a month, not a year. That's a big thing he pushes on his channel. So like when, let's say like ancient Egypt, they say, oh, these people lived 400 or 500 years. Well, they're misinterpreting the shar as a year, and it's actually a month. So when you divide it down, they're talking really about 400, 500 months as living instead of actually or ruling. I'm not sure which of the two is it, but it gives a different perspective to all this stuff. There were longer days, and they were measuring everything month to month, and then our researchers just thought they meant years, and that's how you get all these people. It seems like they're hundreds of years old. But I also think people have lived that long too in the past for completely different reasons beyond that.
they
Yeah, if you divide 400 months by 30 days, you get 13 years. And that seems like a reasonable time for like a ruler, 13 years.
you know originally, and you should know, there was not 12 months in a year, there was 13 months in a year, 13 months of 28 days.
Yep.
So we're not all as old as we think we are, and we're not in the year that we think we are, if you go by that calendar. So I'm younger, because I sure don't feel the age I am. Boy, I'll tell you, 5 years ago, I could outdrink these 21-year-olds, and I was pouring them into a cab at a club, sending them home, and they still couldn't go to work the next day. I was staying there till 3 in the morning, showing up at work at 6 with bells on, and they were calling in sick. I'm like, oh, come on. Are you serious? So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that in my 30s doing the same. My cousin couldn't, he's 10 years younger than me. We'd be Christmas. All right, I'm still good to go. I got to be up early for the kids.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it. Now I'm like, I'll be 44 in a few months. I'm like, glass of wine. I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. Big change. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I think that it's not that you're getting older, it's just that you're maturing and you understand I have kids now, and, I got to deal with life. Can no longer run around and party. See, I got
Nope.
smart. I had my daughter when I was 16. So by the time I could get out there and really do things, she was already old enough to take care of herself. I was like, woohoo!
It worked out for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Steve's mom should have done. Should have started early, Steve. You came in too late. And I admire the fact that you have so much interest in the older things, and just you're unique. You really are. You're very unique for your age. I feel like I'd take you and sit down and play chess or something at a park. Just
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah, I've always had an interest in history, but I didn't really like do the reenacting until after I ran for office here in Niles. So I like wandered over to the museum, and then that's how I met Chris Dosh, who recruited me to the 19th Illinois Zoo, or yeah, 19th Illinois Zoo Ops, Chicago Zoo Ops.
That was
And
what
we didn't
before,
even
yeah.
have the uniform yet. He was just like, "Yeah, I got this coat. Half of it's correct, half of it's not." And now he's made a full uniform since then. And that was 2017. So, I
Yeah.
mean, this is a hobby, so people are putting their spare money into this. And it just if you can't afford it, you got to make do with what you have. And then there's another group of reenactors called the Authentics, which want to be sticklers to everything being extremely accurate. So if you
Yep.
built like a porta potty on a 10-foot like tripod, people are gonna literally, no
Can't
pun
have it.
intended, lose their shit.
Can't have it. Nope. They didn't
Wow.
have it.
And the big joke with the reenacting scene is like, oh, they're always getting funnel cakes and using the porta potties and stuff. It's like you have to have some modern conveniences as long as it's outside of like the actual camp and everything. If it's off to the
Yeah.
side, it doesn't ruin the immersion for me. As long as it's away from the battlefield, it's fine. And there's
Well, look at
actually some of these locations, they have original buildings. Like I know in Hastings, Michigan, they have like a town square where we have a convergence of soldiers. It's like the
and they
battle takes place in that town, and it's flanked with all the spectators watching, and
look look at the way
it's a
they
really
do the
good time.
Renaissance. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
they keep it as they
I don't
keep
want to
it
say
as
it's like some.
normalized as they can, but you can have the porta potties outside of the camp, or you can have, I've been to those.
I haven't
God,
gone to try the Renaissance Fair yet. I mean, I
yeah,
feel like I need to have a whole different impression for that.
yeah, it's
But
it's
I have
different.
worn my Civil War uniform for a Halloween party a few years ago, and I won. So I'm not doing that again though, because I see that as disrespectful now in a way. I mean, it's different if you're wearing a coat because it's cold, like the great coat. I know
Yeah.
Chris wore that for walking around town with his family trick or treating. I
I've
mean,
done
that's acceptable. That's fine. But what I did, not so much. At least just personally, because I've given people crap for talking about the fez that we have for some of the impressions, like calling us Shriners. Like that's not necessary because it's more than just that has a fez. And the Zouaves wore fezes. They're all different lengths and sizes and stuff. Some have blue tassels, yellow tassels, red tassels. I don't know if there's green tassels or not. But yeah, we got 6 people watching now, so we're starting to get people coming in. Again, welcome to Zoo or the no, this is like a conglomeration of Zoo of Madness, but that's our spin-off channel for just variety content, history, and pro wrestling. But today is Madness Hour on Yissilmissil Productions channel, and this is Variety Show episode 1. So we're just getting an introduction to everybody here, and we will have different guests sit in from time to time. Um, but if we can keep this consistent week to week, that'd be cool. But I don't expect either of you to join me every week. You know what I'm saying? So
You got you.
I'm glad that you guys are here today and that we're able to just feel it out, see how this flow goes. And yeah, I think it's gonna be fun.
I
Because
still
I
want to
mean
go to Gettysburg.
we've
Oh,
been going for almost an hour.
You
that
hear
was
me,
fun.
Steve? You hear me? Steve, do you hear me?
Yes,
We still have to go to Gettysburg.
we do.
I got
Yeah,
to go
Brenda and
speak
I
with
plan
some
to go.
spooks.
That
We'll
was
go
a
in the Jeep
fun
Gladiator.
experience.
Was it?
How
I
many
want to
times
go.
have you gone, Jeremy?
Just the one time last year when we were there. That was my first time.
Wow. Yeah, that was my first
Yeah.
time too.
Yeah. It was kind of, I mean, it felt rushed because we were there for the event. So it wasn't like a trip, vacation trip where you're taking it all in. So it felt rushed. But so I'm like, I'm definitely got to go back. But I mean, there's so much to see. I mean, I realized that we probably saw maybe 10%. That's how, crazy it was. Just the
Yeah,
scale.
the whole town of Gettysburg just has monuments all along the roads, or
Yeah.
memorials. I
Everywhere.
like calling them memorials. And it's just right when you get into like the city limits, you just have memorial after memorial after memorial after memorial. Then they have the cemetery too, which I didn't even get to go in that weekend
I didn't either.
because
No,
we
I was
went to
across the
the
street
Daniel
from it.
Lady farm.
I want to
Yeah.
go
When I was
there.
at the lunch, it was there.
So, Brenna, you've gone to Gettysburg?
No,
No?
I want to go,
Oh,
but
you
I
want to
want to
go?
go.
Okay.
I want to go to the. I want to go to the cemetery. That and the field,
Yeah, it
definitely.
was it was a little weird. Actually, when we drove in there, th those wildfires were producing all this like haze and smoke. So
Oh yeah,
from
out of
Chicago to
Canada.
Gettysburg,
Yeah.
and like by the time we got to Ohio, it was just orange smog for a long time, and it hurt our lungs. Like when we got there, we were setting up camp and everything, and it was starting to dissipate then, but it was just really it was a unique experience because it's just so much smoke in the air. It's just a haze. But hopefully the next time we go, that won't happen.
No, I hope not. Yeah, it was like that even in West Pennsylvania. Because when I stopped the night south of Pittsburgh, you could still see the haze. This is weird.
Yeah, and we were there for I think 2 or 3 days, and
Uh,
there were a lot
yeah.
of people there. So a lot of spectators, a lot of reenactors. Um, we had somewhat of a company street, and that's just having the tents a certain distance apart from each other going down a row. And yeah, a lot of good people there. We had people show up from Michigan, all over the country actually. So us reenactors like to travel and do our ancestors justice
I
Well, that
would
was
think.
remind
what
them
was
that they're
important for
still
me.
thought of
Well, that
in
was the
this area.
important part for me when we were out together that morning. Um, when we did the Iron Brigade area. So my ancestor, he had gone and joined the 4th U.S. Battery B. So I took my dad. We found the monument for it. It was actually next to Lee's headquarters, and so it was 160 years ago to the day that he was all right on that ridge looking west in the
Wow.
artillery. And my dad's like, "This is so cool." So we took a picture together outside the monument. So it was kind of like
And it's
just
Wisconsin.
it took a minute. Yeah, Wisconsin. So, well, no. So he was in the 6th Wisconsin. He was in Company D, which is out of Milwaukee. 2 days before Antietam, they were looking for volunteers, U.S. Battery B, which was like an artillery unit attached to the Iron Brigade. So he decided to join. And so 2 days before Antietam, he joins. He gets wounded at Antietam, and then he served through the Battery B up until December of '63 when he was done. And then actually, what happens is he goes back home, re-enlist, joins the 10th Wisconsin Artillery, who's down in Georgia. He takes part in Sherman's March to the Sea. So he's at Gettysburg, Antietam, March to the Sea. So he's in both theaters, and he gets out in '65.
Yeah, I my dad actually joined us as well. My dad
Yes.
traveled from I believe Florida all the way like near Miami and joined us up there with my cousin Michael. And he brought a die-cast vehicle for a gift for me, my cousin. That was real cool. He's almost 18 now, but he had a good choice. He picked a Ferrari for me.
Nice.
But yeah, like we went and looked at all of, like I remember we met up with you and your dad um like around that time when you were taking those pictures and we were
Yeah.
just paying respects to everybody there. And
Hmm.
like there is so much to do in that town. If you don't have a plan, then you're gonna miss a lot of things. So even if you plan to go to three different spots, it might take you the entire day to do so, even just briefly looking at things.
Yes.
But but there's definitely a lot to look at, and I mean it gives you perspective on like all of these different units that converged on the town. But when you look at an overhead map, it's like a spider web. All the roads go into central town of Gettysburg, so it's almost inevitable, in my opinion.
It
It was
was.
like a setup.
Hence why they're there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was cool. It was worth. It was definitely worth the trip. I mean, it's something you gotta experience at least once, but you gotta take the time. I mean, spend a week if you want to take it in. At least spend a week. There's a lot of modern things to do though too. I mean, there's definitely restaurants. They got hotels and pools and everything. But we stayed. My parents stayed at RV park just west of town, which they had the pool. They had all kinds of stuff. I mean, so they were active over there. It was nice for families. So it's kind of on my list to go back to that one.
Yeah, if we can make that trip in like April through June, that'd be awesome for like next year.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all up in there. Whenever we can afford to go, that's when it'll happen. But
What? You don't want to go when it's snowing?
we could. They would have events out there during the winter.
November.
Yeah.
Don't they have the big parade is in a few weeks, I think, or
Yeah.
sometime this
Yeah,
month.
the Remembrance Day parade, yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'm just kidding. I can't go when it snows. I'd get stuck. Could you see that? Call a tow truck. Gotta get this woman's wheelchair out of the snow. Oh,
We have to build
just
you
leave
some
me
sort
here
of
until
like
we fall.
some like power four-wheeler off-road
Yeah,
wheelchair.
I'm
That should
telling
fix
you.
a lot of things.
If some of my friends had their way, this thing would be built with rocket boosters.
Just get some Jeep suspensions on it too.
Yeah. They want to put like, shotgun mounts and, bazooka mounts and rocket boosters and, I would lose my chair for probably about 3 months. And I would get it back thinking, oh my God, where am I supposed to take that thing? So yeah, I now belong to the military.
At
So
that
yeah,
point, you just need like an oversized drone to pick you up and then you fly everywhere.
yeah, I need a drone, period. But I got to start off with a small one so I get used to flying them because, I'd probably bang into everything. And so there's no sense in getting one of those nice ones with a camera on it till I learn how to fly this stupid thing.
So I'm gonna just update everybody again watching. Right now, this is Madness Hour Variety Show episode 1. I have my guests here, Jeremy and Brenda. Jeremy does a show with me. We're trying to build that out. It's called Zoo of Madness. I have the link in the comments here for the live chat. And Brenda has her own show as well. She's been doing that for a while now. It's called Beyond the Box, and they cover a lot of things too, government related, paranormal related, and has she's had similar guests that I've had on this show on this channel, and she's always bringing new guests on. So that's a really cool thing to meet new people, hear their stories, and yeah, I have both Brenda and Jeremy here today with me, here on my channel. I wanted to introduce everybody again to Jeremy. Jeremy's been on here once before, and I've been on his podcast several times, and that's been fun. We did actually, when we went to Gettysburg, we did a show, we did a
Yeah,
podcast, but I've never released it. So shame on me.
Oh,
Like, I got to get that together.
that was that was an interesting one because it was over what we did one at night and then we did one as we went to the field. We both were mic'd up as we went out that last day for
Hmm.
the pickets charge. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was that
I
day.
had brought our, I had two lavalier microphones, and I ran them up right to the collar, and it was underneath our uniforms. And we had it recording from the time we went in formation in camp to the time we were marching back and got back into camp after the battle.
Have you listened to the audio on that?
Yeah,
Did you
it's
hear anything strange?
oh, in that respect, no.
Okay.
I have like skimmed through it to hear the quality of it, and like the levels are fine. So it's just more of getting the most interesting spots. I might just release it raw and then do an edited down version because I always wanted to just have the edited down version out. But I mean, it might be best to release both. I have the long form and the short form. But the campfire, I wanted that to be its own episode, and then the battle to also be its own episode. So we're looking at two, possibly three episodes with that. And yeah, I just need to make the time to edit all that together because we have the audio all set to go. And I had it, I was working on it on my previous computer setup before it like melted down. So now I have to bring everything back in and basically start over on it. But I only had like 5, 10 minutes edited total. You have to do the balancing if it was like mono, make it stereo. And like I said, the levels weren't bad. It was just I slacked off putting it up. But we did record an episode and then the next day marching into the field just to give people that experience if you never like been firsthand in a reenactment before. Like you get to hear all the sounds of what we go through as we're showing the public what our ancestors did. So yeah.
Actually, at Princeton, we the first day we did a charge. We all get mowed down, so we're all laying there, right? So I told myself, oh no, and I recorded us just laying there as the battle was going on around us. It was just a group of us all laying there, Chris and Jared and guys, and we're just hanging out. And it's like, and we're goofing off. So it's like, this is just kind of what we're doing. We I ain't got nothing to do. And oh, the sun is hot. And just obscenities we're talking about, just having fun. So I never did it before. I'm like, I'm going to do it this time.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not supposed to take out our phones while we're on the field. It just looks bad.
No.
But if you're laying down, if you're
Yep.
dead, if you're playing dead, then
They couldn't see.
just
I mean,
pulling
I
it
had it
out
like
and
this.
starting to film,
No, I did
it's
it
not
just like
that bad.
this. I had my hat like this, and the phone's here. They're not seeing. And I'm so far out there. You'd have to be zooming in like this to see what I'm doing. There's no way. So I was like, it's the last event. I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah, and also there's so much going on. Like like you're obviously looking at where the loudest explosions are happening if you're in the spectating
Yeah,
crowd. And plus there's sometimes over 100 guys on the field. So
yeah.
unless somebody's specifically watching you at all times, they're not going to see the phone pop out.
No.
But I do want to get one of those button cameras to wear so that when we go out on the field, it's concealed as well. And then you get a first-hand perspective of everything.
Yeah, people always ask me like, what do you guys do when you're standing out there like waiting and everything like that? Not much. I mean, yeah, we tell jokes. There's a lot of Yoda innuendos, but this is about it. We're not doing anything.
And I really didn't, I don't think I've had any paranormal experiences so far with reenacting. My first reenactment was in Elgin, Illinois in
You're buddy
2017. And I think that was like May or June.
Jim back then.
Yeah, and the location that it occurred on, it was on the property that still has the old insane asylum, mental psych ward, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it.
Elgin. 5 minutes from my house.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mary
5 minutes
Todd
from my house.
Lincoln was a what a what would you call it?
Guest.
A guest. Yeah, she was a guest there post
Yeah,
Lincoln's death. So
yeah.
there's history there too. I don't know if
There's a
it's not open during the event, but you could see it in the
no.
distance.
So the old building is torn down. They tore that down like 30 years ago. Now they have the modern one, which is off to its left if you're looking at it from the street. Now they actually have an old cemetery that's behind there. From and some of them are unmarked. Now I've never been back there, but somebody we know named Tim Marcus, he's been back there and he told me about it.
Yeah, I've actually Tim is a great researcher. He
Yes,
goes to these cemeteries on a regular basis.
yes.
And I've tipped him off to a few cemeteries in Indiana when I was coming back home from North Carolina. There's also a cemetery nearby here called Maine Cemetery for Maine Township. And I asked him to just see if there's any Civil War veterans there. And he found some just looking online.
I'm
So he
sure he
didn't even
would.
visit.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we went to like with my uncle when we came back from North Carolina in early March. We stopped in Indiana to think like three or four different cemeteries. We found Civil War veterans at every one. There was at least one or two, and you can tell like the headstones are very unique. They're really tall and
Hmm.
like rectangle. Some of them are clean, some of them like the moss has grown all into it and everything. But yeah, Tim goes out there and cleans off some of these headstones too, right? And
Yeah,
that's a
he's
process you have to make sure you preserve the stone. You don't want to use abrasive chemicals on it.
yeah, he's part of the Sons of Union veterans, so they do a lot of stuff, cemetery cleaning.
What would you, so Jeremy, what do you think is
Yeah.
the most uh most accurate Civil War film that you're aware of?
Mm, most people say Gettysburg, but I know that there was a lot of cinema in that one. Um, I'd say Glory's probably pretty close, except the ending is a little bit more drama based, where you think everybody died, which wasn't the case. But I'd say that's probably one of the most accurate depictions. I heard like Red Badge of Courage, but they made that a long time ago. But I'd say Glory for me. That's just my personal. Gettysburg's close, but they did a lot of cinema to that one. That's entertainment. But they don't make a lot of movies. When it comes to Civil War. There's a lot of good books that they
I
can
think it's by
depict in
design
movies.
too, because as we know who runs Hollywood. They
Mm-hmm.
despise our history. They despise our culture. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want accuracy. They want spectacle. But yeah, if you're really itching to watch a Civil War movie, check out Glory. And yeah, Gettysburg's good too. But like
It
Jeremy
is
says,
good.
it's very cinematic, and they take a lot of liberties with that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I want an accurate war film, please. Just one.
Well, there's a book. Actually, let me grab it real fast. It's right behind me. It's a where is it? This one.
By the way, we'll be wrapping up the show here shortly. We'll keep it to an hour or so.
This one. I don't know if it's gonna be. I doubt it's showing that. Anyways, it's not. It's called Brothers of War: The Iron Brigade at Gettysburg. Michael Eisenhut. It's a historical fiction about a bunch of messmates in the 19th Indiana as they marched to Gettysburg. And then just some backstories, everything like that. Books like that, if they make that new movie, it would really give us a good depiction of what we experienced as reenactors, but what they actually experienced on the field. And he did a lot of research to keep it true. So if anyone wants to read something like that, I highly recommend that one.
Hey, Jared Carlson's watching. Thank you, buddy. Glad to see
Yeah,
you in here.
I told I
Yeah.
told him. I told him.
Yeah, this is going to be a regular thing. So we're at we're on Yissilmissil Productions channel, but Jeremy and I have Zoo of Madness, where we'll talk like
Derek's like, what?
exclusively Civil War and pro wrestling. We're gonna just keep it to that on that channel.
Yes.
But here
And then
it's a variety show. So we're talking about everything that's relevant to the three of us here for today. And yeah, Civil War history and the paranormal and cryptids and all that. I think it all plays in like
hey,
I've heard of accounts of um a monkey man or Bigfoot walking down like central streets of Gettysburg. Like there's sightings of that in the
really?
1800s. So
Well, they had a bear in a tree before we went out there last year. Remember?
that's right.
He
And then
wandered into
someone had a
town. He was
taxidermied
in a
one in
tree.
their back of their pickup truck that I got a picture of.
Yeah, it was
Look
very
at
random
there in
stuff.
the tree. In the 1800s, I could see that. I could see Bigfoot walking around just in the streets.
And they just
Yeah.
called
Yeah,
him
he's
Monkey
waving.
Man because
He
it
just
was
waves
a
at
just
people.
hairy 10-foot whatever.
Yeah. Well, people back then were um, a little more, I think, accepted than they are today. Well, they're accepting today. Don't get me
Like I
wrong,
don't
they
think
are. But there are
from
people that
what
are
I know
just
that the like gorillas weren't even well known. Like that was an unknown species
Right,
back then. So
hey,
they
right.
couldn't
maybe in
even
the
say, "Oh, gorilla man." Like they just said Monkey Man.
you never know. In the
That's
1800s, they may have had Bigfoot out there helping them hang laundry on the lines. I mean, they may have been a part of culture. Uh,
that's
Everything,
true.
all of our history, they've lied to us. So who knows?
Isn't that true?
You never can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out.
Right? Bigfoot, please carry my laundry.
And another
I,
thing with Gettysburg too, with the paranormal, like
yes.
I do believe there's time slips that happen on those grounds because there's been people that say, "Oh, we saw a reenactor walking on the side of the road." It turns out there was nobody there at the time. And then there's also researchers that have gone there. They've tried to communicate with the other side at night, and they've gotten responses back like, "Where am I? What happened?" Almost like I wouldn't want it to be trapped souls, but at the same time, it might also be just a replay because it's on ley lines, so it's more like a recording that goes over and over. I
Yes.
hope it's that and not souls that are trapped, because that would,
Repeating
I mean,
haunting. Repeating.
breaks
They're
my heart to think of
repeating
that.
what they did before they died. They're repeating it over and over and over again. And that does happen. And they see nothing else. Like, I guess you could be sitting there trying to communicate with them and they have no clue you're even there. So, yeah, timeline splits and different stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely would agree with that.
I compare time slips to kind of like a fog that just enters in, or it's just like a phase in and phase out type of deal. And it just brings two different, what we consider times into the same space for a brief moment before it goes back to where they were.
Yes.
And to
When
me, that's a very logical explanation of what is happening.
you always
I mean,
look for
because
the
to just write
logical,
it
but
completely off is, it's
it,
not smart to do.
have you ever been sitting there and just see movement out of your peripheral and
Yeah,
and not even look, but you just see it when you're staring forward? Pay attention. I mean, don't look at it because if you turn your head or you go to look, it's going to disappear. Pay attention to what you see. I do that all the time. I see movement around me, people around me, different things. Now, if I ever see one of those coming for me, you're going to see me duck. But you see that all the time, and I think that is a lifting veil, a thinning veil, where you can see those other timelines. And it is the strangest thing ever, and people think that you're absolutely crazy, but I am here to tell you this world is not what we think it is. And there is a lot going on that we have been lied to about and kept from. Now, why? I don't know, because it's interesting, but I guess that's just a way for other people to keep us in control. They just keep everybody dumbed down. And this
Hmm.
isn't happening. Yeah, right. But yeah,
but Jared in the comments, he says lots of paranormal at Gettysburg, barns that were field hospitals, and the angle Pickett's charge. So Jared is in the chat, but he's also a reenactor friend of ours. He's very well versed in what he does with the units that he portrays. And he's, yeah, fellow Zouave. So we're gonna have to
Yep.
bust out the fezzes one day for this. Or at least I'll wear mine. I'll wear my fez one of these days. But yeah, in regards to the paranormal, so I'll share one more story and then we'll wrap this up so that we keep it to a little over an hour. I won't keep you guys too long. But in 2015, I went to Getty's, or no, I went to Denver. Uh, I went to visit a poster shop, a movie poster shop that was closing down called Hollywood Posters. And while I was visiting Denver, I went on the Capitol Hill Ghost Tour. And it was a walking tour going around some of the older properties and houses that are in the central part of the city, about like a mile away from the Capitol building. Colfax is the main street that runs through Denver. It's kind of like Milwaukee Avenue here in Illinois. And we went to these houses. We got to walk through a few of them. Really like beautiful, 100-plus-year-old architecture. If you're a fan of architecture, I recommend going to Denver. Uh, Sooner than later because they're gentrifying the whole damn place. Like they're making like Nashville, just glass buildings everywhere. And then the
Gotta love it.
apartments in the condos, they look like just geometric shapes just plastered onto the outside of the fucking building. It just looks really terrible from an architecture perspective. But the last house that we went to on that ghost tour, we it had like a wooden um, porch in the front, and we were asked to walk up the steps. When I walked up the steps, each time I went to take a step, it felt like I was being pushed back. Like something was preventing me from walking forward. I had to use extra muscles to get up the stairs. And when we all got to the porch, there was like about like 10 or 12 of us and the guide. The guide asked, "Did we experience anything walking up onto the porch?" I raised my hand and I'm like, "Yeah, it felt like I was being like pushed back." And he's like, "Yeah, there was this previous owner of the house whose husband died and she became a like anti-man, a feminist, and so she doesn't like men on her property." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that makes perfect sense. She's pushing me back because I'm a man, so
No,
she
man.
doesn't like me there." But that was probably the most like activity that I've experienced besides seeing auras and shadows and following people and stuff.
Well, I had
The
one.
actual
I,
stuff happening to me, like being pushed like that was the only time that's happened to me.
well, maybe Brenda can answer mine because I do believe in all that. Now, I'm not like a medium. I don't have any of that. I just have like weird things. Like a few years ago, so I meditate for stress anxiety, and I was going through a rough part in my life trying to figure out where things were going, and I'd get really into it. Well, one night I felt like somebody put their hand on my shoulder, like somebody's behind me, and I heard a voice. It's gonna be okay. It was my grandma. Heard the voice, heard the whole thing. I just knew it was her. So it's happened more than once. And it always seems to be her, especially when I'm going through just difficult times and trying to assess things in life. Happened to me a few weeks ago down here in my office. Like she gave me a hug from behind and was like, "Grandma." No reason, no rhyme why I was thinking it.
Yeah,
And she's been dead since '07.
yeah, you have like, you'll have relatives that are fond of you, and they like to interact. It is a good idea for you when she does something like that. Just say, "I miss you too,"
I
or "I
started to
love
cry
you
up
too."
last time, honestly. I was like, "Grandma." And
Yeah,
it just felt like this feeling of like I relaxed. I felt like I know she's here, and it was like I had to tell my sister, and she's like, "Oh, that's so cool."
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's weird. Like with me, my mother passed away in '98, and I I can see other spirits, but I cannot see my mom. But I
Hmm.
feel her. I smell her body spray. So I know when she's here. I had a little incident that happened to me probably about 2 years ago where I would just wake up and just start crying and cry and cry all day long. Okay. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So I ended up going to another psychic. And that psychic told me, the next time you feel your mother around you, you tell her no, she cannot. And what it was she was entering me because when I lost my mother, she missed out on my daughter growing up, my daughter getting married, the grandchild that, the great grandchild she would have had now. She missed out on a lot because my mom was only 47 when she passed away. So she was really young. And they said what she was doing was she was trying to enter me, and I was feeling her grief. And I could feel her grief without her doing that, but her doing that was a bad thing. So I had to make that stop. And when I sat there and I put that boundary down, she could not do that. It stopped. But she still comes around. I know when she's here, and I'll just talk to her like, she's standing right next to me, like she's real, but I also have my mother's ashes in the house with me too. So I have those. They sit on my dresser next to, well, they were next to a doll that I have that has an attachment, but I separated them. They would argue at night. So I separated them. But and believe it or not, that happens.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but
We
whenever
have my Yep, go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
but whenever you feel that, just express your love. Tell her that you miss her because that's what she's doing. She's watching out for you. And especially in a time of need, if she tells you it's going to be okay, trust her.
Yeah.
Because in that life that she is in now, she can see what's happening in the future.
Yeah, she told me the last one when she gave me the hug down here. She said, "You're okay." And I was going through a thing where I was psychologically telling myself I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it made me feel a lot better. But um, it's always her. It's never any of my other grandparents. I never get a sense that they're here to that extent, which I do believe they're around, but I just never get the interaction. It's always my mom's mom.
Your mom's mom was probably pretty intuitive herself.
Probably where I
So,
get it from. I take that from my mom's side of the family more.
yeah. Yep. So it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And to me, anything that enters your home that is not disrupting anything, and they're not damaging
Yeah.
anything, and they're not harming you, it can't always be bad. I deal with a lot of and one of my favorite things, and I think I've told Steve this before, I would be laying in my bed and somebody would come out of the wall and just look at me. And they would ask me, am I dead? And I'm like, well, you're kind of in my room. You don't know me. You just walk through the wall. My guess is yes.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes they do that because if people die in tragic accidents or somebody shoots them or they're not expecting it, they're not laying
Yeah.
in a hospital bed preparing for it.
Right.
They're confused when it happens.
Wow.
And people who are mediums or people who are real sensitive, they're a light of beacon for them. So when they're in the spirit, they see that beacon, they see that light from no matter where they are, and they usually go to that light to ask, or they
Oh.
don't understand. I had one guy that kept coming, and I didn't know nothing about him, but I got his name. So I looked him up on the internet, and he kept saying flying, flying, flying. Well, come to find out, he was a helicopter pilot, but that's not how he died. I found out that he was in a plane and it was going over towards, I want to say San Antonio. And he was in a plane with two other people, a small plane, and it crashed just inside the trees out in the wilderness, I guess you want to say. But he didn't understand why. And so I actually would be in the car, he'd be in the back seat. Everywhere I went, he would follow me everywhere, come out of my closet at night. I'm like, dude. So finally, I let him ride with me in the car, and I went out to the area that the accident happened. And I sat there and I said, this is where you can start, because this is where this happened. You need to come back here to figure out where you have to be, because you can't stay with me. You know, you can't be hanging around me all the time. You know, kind of ruins my image.
Yeah.
But you know, but it was I've been involved in some really crazy stuff. I've been bitten, I've been scratched. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a powerful thing when you have abilities, or gifts, whatever you want to call them. I don't look at mine as a gift. Sometimes I think that it's a curse, because there are some times that, oh boy, they can drive me bonkers. But you have to
Yeah.
set those boundaries. You have to. They have to know when is a time that they can speak to you and when they can't. So, and if you don't set those boundaries, they'll walk all over you. Spirits are something else. You know, they really are. They want that attention, and they want it now. So, got to set those
Yeah.
boundaries. But as far as your grandmother's concerned, embrace
Yeah.
that. Definitely embrace that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I
I
want
was
to
wondering if
share
my
something as well.
go ahead, Steve.
So, my mom's cousin was unfortunately murdered in a murder suicide by her spouse. And her brother offered me her physical media collection and Legos from her children who survived. And they they let me bring that stuff home, so I went to the house that occurred in and brought it back home here. And so the reason I bring that up is I heard a voice along with my uncle coming from my mother's room when we came home from the store just a few weeks ago at night. It sounded like a full sentence was being spoken. I can't remember what the words were, but it sounded like really like deep in conversation. Like this lady was talking about something. And it felt like there was a delay between them hearing us walk in, because by the time I got through the front room into the main hallway is when I heard the voice. But then it kind of cut off right when I was getting up to the room. Like there was a delayed reaction to us entering the house. And I find that really interesting because, I mean, we don't know exactly what's happening here, but that's an easy way for me to explain it is there was a little bit of a time delay so that we were able to hear whatever was here talking and visiting. And I didn't want to say that it was her that showed up and was talking, but days after that, the two bins of Legos that I have from her had the lid on top of it with another bag of Legos on top of that. The lid started falling off. It fell off at least three different times in the same way. It looks like it was just taken off, put at an angle, and placed 3 feet away from where it was sitting. And the first time it happened, I heard the crash because it's right on the other side of my wall here. And I was listening for footsteps to hear if it was somebody in the house that just bumped something, but it was nobody. I went in there and there was nothing. It was just sitting on the floor. So I fixed it. I put it back on, and the day later it fell again. And then another time within that same week, I keep my bubble wrap for my eBay store here in the front room. So I was rolling up a new um, spool of bubble wrap, and I have these Nintendo plushies that are sitting on the couch. One of them's a question block, and basically you like play catch with it. You throw it to somebody, it goes ching, and you hit it more and it goes bing, 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 do 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 for like the one
Mm.
up from the Mario game. So I'm rolling this bubble wrap up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ching. Now I'm thinking, yeah, the bubble wrap's hitting this thing and it's sensitive. But later in the day, I'm sitting in my room. Or this is actually at night. It's later at night. I hear the one up go off while I'm just sitting here at the computer. Do 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 do. And I know there's nobody in the room. And shortly after that, my mom and my uncle also hear that thing go off and they report to me that it went off. So after all of that happened, just now a few days ago, I went into the basement to go look at my inventory and everything. And I was talking with my mom about this, about all the stuff that happened. And I'm like, I came to the decision. I'm like, I need to actually speak out loud to Gina and acknowledge what happened to her and that we're aware of it and that she does need the peace to move on. But that if she was connected to or attached to that Lego collection, that I need to let her know that we're aware so that she can move on. I'm repeating myself, but so that's what I did. I spoke out loud. I'm like, what happened was just absolutely terrible. Shouldn't happen to anybody, but it happened to you. And we know that you're struggling with moving on, but we're here, we're telling you that we're taking care of your belongings, even though it's material possessions, sometimes spirits are attached to that. I mean, it's a very common thing. So I spoke out loud and said that like all of these Legos are going to find a good home. It's going to go to people who appreciate them. They're going to hold on to them, make new memories with them, and all of that stuff has now stopped. And the night after I said that, I was sitting outside on my porch between 2 and 3 a.m. And I do this all the time, by the way. All hours of the night, all hours of the day. I'm going out there to stretch because I'm trying to recover from a leg injury. And so I'm sitting out there between 2 and 3 a.m. and a red fox is trotting on the sidewalk. And this spooked me a bit for a second. But the thing didn't even recognize that I was there. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and watch this thing pass. And it was just in the zone, just the foxtrot is like super fast and smooth. The body's just like it's like on a rail, and you just see the legs going real fast. But after all that, I went back inside, and I'm like, I got to research what this means if somebody sees a red fox. And one of the explanations said that it is a loved one that has now passed on and moved on. And immediately when I read that, I had an oh shit moment of that was Gina letting me know that she's moved on. And like I said, no more bin lids falling off, even with a weighted bag on top of it. And I haven't heard any other voices except that one time. And like I said, it sounded like a mature woman having a full conversation. And they got interrupted maybe from us walking in and the time delay thing. But yeah, that's a very recent thing that's happened. And verbally communicating back, I think does help them pass on.
Yep.
Even though it may feel or seem silly to you at first, it actually is very impactful because we are living beings and our voices are very powerful. Like when we speak, it goes, it like changes the air all around us. So every time we share words, it goes into the universe, so to speak,
Now,
and it's not forgotten.
sometimes when they do move on, they have the ability to be able to come back and forth, like with Jeremy's grandma. And she's moved on. She's at peace, but she does come back to keep an eye on him. So that does happen on several occasions. Actually, my mother's the same way. She comes and goes. Hannah, the attachment for my doll, she comes and goes. She'll come in here and play around, and I don't even know what she does when she's everywhere else. But when she's here, she sure does mess around with things. She moves things, she hides things. She likes to touch Jack's feet, and it drives him insane. If he doesn't have anything on his feet, she'll rub the top of his foot, and he's like, "Oh, stop it!" but yeah, they do come and go. So it's amazing because a lot of people think that when we die, that's it, we're done. Nothing else happens. No, we are light beings in a meat suit having a human experience. There is life after death. Um, Depending on how you live your life is depending on where you go in life, but there is more. There is a universe out there. We all come from a particular point in the universe, and we have the option when we pass away to go back out to that universe and go to where we came from, or to come back as somebody else, you know uh, and it happens. So yeah, we are amazing, Steve. We are amazing.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's been a great show. I do want to end it here. We can save more of this talk for the next time. And for those that are watching now, you'll know what to expect going forward with this show in particular on this channel. Um, I do have more interviews lined up with different guests in the old format that most of you are familiar with, one-on-ones. And I'll be revealing those guests as I confirm everything. I am looking at next Saturday um, to have a local uh, political activist, Joe McCullough, on the show. So hopefully he'll be able to join us. But if not, we'll have to postpone that. That's why I don't put anything out too far in advance because plans change, and that's been happening quite often. Just life gets in the way. But I'm going to try to do this every Saturday at 11. It might not always be Madness Hour variety show, but it'll be something for my subscribers here to enjoy. And I'll be talking about stuff that I want to talk about. This is a very open channel, as you can tell. And like I said, anti-Hollywood, anti-mainstream narrative. We're here to talk about real stuff and to find the truth of it all. And yeah, so Brenda, Jeremy, thank you both for being here today.
Thank
Um,
you.
you guys can
Thank you.
find Brenda on Beyond the Box YouTube channel. She runs a great show over there. I recommend you all to go subscribe and like and follow, hit the bell icon. Do the same thing here. And also over on our Zouave Madness channel, which we've spun off from doing an episode here. We're going to try to be building that one out too. And yeah, the future looks bright. We're just going to keep on rolling here. And we have our crew behind us, and it's uh really going to be good going forward. So, I thank you both again, and I hope that I will see you guys again soon. We got to get this together on another day. But like I said, it doesn't always have to be the three of us. We can mix it up all the time because I think it's good flow.
Thank you.
So I'll sign us all off here, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. I will be playing an outro, and until the next one, class dismissed.
Bye.
Do, do, do.
You don't Macho Man is coming from? You're right. You don't know anything about the Macho Man, Randy Savage. You know where I'm coming from. You know where I'm coming from. After I beat you with that big elbow and pin you 1, 2, 3, guaranteed victory!